everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I have a very special guest that I'm going to be interviewing. It's one of my best friends, but this man does so much. He's a grandmaster in martial arts. He's a concert pianist. He's a bodyguard. He's a humanitarian, and a lot of other things. A very funny guy as well. Welcome, my guest, Vincent Lyn.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Hey, Vincent, how you doing?
I'm really good, and I'm really glad to be here. Finally, we fixed this.
I know. And where are you now? Are you in Florida?
No, I am not. I'm all over the place right now. I'm actually.
Are you in Morocco?
No, I'm not in Morocco, according to Robert Clancy. I'm on the eastern shore in Maryland.
Oh, you're in Maryland. Oh,
so I'm right.
okay.
I'm actually right on the Chesapeake River. Well, not on it, but like a stone's throw from it. Yeah.
Yeah, we never know where you are. It's like me, never know where I am. Where in the world is Cynthia and Vincent?
I know. I was in New York City yesterday, but yeah.
Yeah, I was in Wyoming a couple days ago.
Nobody can keep up with us. They call me They call me the secret agent man. So there you go.
Well, anyway, Vincent, you know what? Let's get started first. Let's talk a little bit about your martial art background. You know, how you got started in martial arts.
Well, let's see. My mother is British. My father's Chinese. I grew up in London. I wasn't born there, though. I actually was born in Yemen. My father was in the Royal Air Force, so he got stationed in the Middle East. And then we lived in a number of North African countries. But my formative years, I grew up in England, and that's where actually I began martial arts. And it was as early as 8 years old. But on my father's side of the family, we can date it back to the beginning of the Ming Dynasty, which is 1368. So, as you know, most Chinese martial arts family styles are passed down from, grandfather, father to son. So, and that's what happened with me. So much of my early study and through teenager was with my father's brother, who was a Grandmaster of Tai Chi and Qigong. So that's how it began. Yeah. And from that point, I started actual formal classes in a school in England, but I was actually studying judo and karate as a youngster. So it wasn't until I left England, my parents emigrated when I was 16, that I actually took formal classes in Shaolin Kung Fu, actually in Connecticut, which is where my parents emigrated initially to. But all the time I had been studying with my uncle as well.
Oh, I used to study in Connecticut. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Grandmaster Daniel Pai had a studio there?
Yes, of
course. I love Kung Fu. Yes,
of course. Where about? You remember where in Connecticut it was?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I want to say Bridgeport.
Oh, okay. That probably was. We lived in Stamford, which is like 30 minutes south of Bridgeport.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember. I was just like a young kid, and I remember I was so nervous and afraid to train with him because we heard all these stories. We heard all these like kung fu stories that he could disappear in walls and he's always watching you.
I know.
It was quite a trip, though. But
yeah, Bridgeport. That's also where Michael Jai White started out.
Get out of here! That's crazy.
Bridgeport. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and then you and I have been traveling the world for fun and adventure, and also for a lot of martial art events together.
We have for years. I don't know how long it's been, but it's certainly been a long time. Yeah, there's too many places to count.
Oh my God, yeah, and I think probably out of all my martial art friends, I've known you like maybe the longest.
Well, it would have to be.
One of the longest, right?
One of the longest, sure. We obviously.
The first time we met.
I did.
You do?
Or I do. It was at a party for the release of your film Blonde Fury, aka Lady Reporter, and it was in. I remember where it was. It was in Jim Sargé. on Canton Road. I'm trying to think of the club, but I remember where the premiere of your film was at that cinema, right alongside where the famous nightclub Hot Gossip was. So yeah, I do remember. I remember meeting you. I remember the only person I remember seeing there though was Manhoy, even though there were a lot of people there. But it's funny. I remember Manhoy and of course you. I mean, nobody else matters.
That's funny. That was what had to be mid '80s, right?
Yeah. So it's 88. No, it was a little later than mid '88. Yeah.
No, because when did we shoot the Blonde Fury? We shot that before '88.
No, we did not. We did not. No. See what happens? I'll tell you exactly when it was. Let's see, October 1988 was when we shot that.
Oh.
Or when I came on with Jeff Falcon. Yeah, I got the call from Golden Harvest. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I did it. Yeah, I shot it after I finished Tiger Cage. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God. Well, talking of movies, you know, Vincent has done several movies. How many movies have you done?
I think it's like 25. I did 19 though in Hong Kong.
19 in Hong Kong. You beat me. I think I only did 7. So yeah, you stayed there.
Yeah, but you've done way more than I have. I think you're like done 60 or something. That's crazy.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your acting career. How did you get involved in films and Hong Kong?
I was modeling before I went to Hong Kong, and photographer.
Were you modeling underwear?
You know what? You did put that photo, but then I sent it to you. But of all the photos I sent you, you put that one up. I mean,
I'm gonna flip it in so you could see Vince's modeling. Okay.
Yeah, okay. My Valentino briefs. Yeah, that was actually a good gig. But the photographer in New York, Chinese photographer, had a lot of connections in Hong Kong. You know, he was a dear friend. He shot a lot of photos of me, and he said, "Have you ever thought of going to Hong Kong to do martial arts action film?" And I said, "Well, doesn't every martial art, wish for that?" So he actually put me in touch with an art director, friend of his, and he said, "Look, you're going to have to make the trip, go to Hong Kong." And so I went, and we met at a coffee shop of all places, at the Sheraton Hotel, in Tsim Sha Tsui. And he put me in touch with 4 film companies. One was the new company D&B that was run by Dixon Poon. The other was Sammo Hung's company, Golden Harvest, and Cinema City. And Sammo's and Cinema City had nothing going on. I actually met Raymond Chow at Golden Harvest, and he really liked my look. And he said, look, if you stayed here 4 or 5 months, something would come up. And I said, well, I really don't have the budget to stay here for that long. But he said you should really try to stay here. So the last company I met was D&B, and they were right in production of Tiger Cage, directed by none other than Yu Mo Ping. And I met with his production manager, and we're still friends, really good friends still today, Fish Fong. And Fish Fong, yeah. I know the names, right? And that's how it started, but my initial, I was teaching martial arts in Connecticut, and my idea was to open up a school. So I got this dream chance, and I figured I'm going to just do this one film and head back to the States. But of course, Tiger Cage had every major Hong Kong star at the time, and even a very, young, well, I was young, we were all young, Donnie Yen, of course. And the film was a huge success. And here I was ready to go back. And 10 days later, I got a call from Golden Harvest to work with you on Blonde Fury. So.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, because when I did my first film, Yes, Madam, I thought I would just do one film and that would be it. Yeah. But it's funny, because when you do a movie there and it comes out good, then everybody wants you. Everybody's knocking on your door to do films, right?
Yeah, it really was. The premiere kind of, it was a very surreal feeling, the audience went crazy after the film ended, and we filtered out of the cinema, and you know, here I was trying to be cool, and people were, you know, women were like, "Oh, look who it is! It's that guy! It's that guy!" So yeah, yeah.
Well, did you get a Chinese name?
No, I did not.
Oh, see, I
No,
did.
I
I was
did not get a Chinese name. They used my British name, you know, English name. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I had one.
I know, lawful law.
Off the block. Yeah. So before we get into our infamous fight scenes in Blonde Fury,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about, because you've done Western films and you've also done, you know, the Hong Kong films, Eastern films. Tell everybody the difference in the styles of fighting, because it's definitely, you know, we started off in Hong Kong, and that, to me, that's the greatest place to start, because it's the hardest place, I think, to start as well.
It is the hardest place, and I just did an interview a couple of days ago with a friend, Sifu Alex Richter, and I was talking about that same thing. You know, just how we were kind of, or at least I was thrown right in the middle of it. I mean, here you think you've been studying martial arts your whole life and you're going to be ready for this type of thing. You know, you're like, well, it can't be that difficult. But to do Hong Kong action, I had no previous training in how to do falls, these kind of dumo, you know, flip over and land on your back and landing on your side. I mean, no clue how to do these things.
High falls,
Yeah,
wire
high falls, wire stuff, no clue. And you basically, you have to do it, you know.
Yes, you do.
And it's that Chinese kind of have that saying, you have to eat bitter. You know, you really have to suffer the pain. Otherwise, they really look down at you, you know, because here you are, you Guai Mui, I'm Guai Lo, you know, and even though I'm half Chinese, but still I'm Western, you know, coming from America or coming from Britain or wherever. So you really have to suffer. I mean, but in many ways, looking back, I miss it. There are some parts of it that I do miss, because that golden age, as they say, of Hong Kong cinema that we were involved in with others like Robert Samuels and so forth, you know, they really have never come out with film and action like that ever since. At least I don't think, and I don't think they ever will. Yeah.
And I think too is, you know, when we were shooting there, they, like you said, they expected you to do all these dangerous stunts, you know, and you would just do it. You knew many times, oh my God, I could die on this stunt, right? But there was no, like, it wasn't like in America, like, oh, we're gonna hurt our actors, so let's get a double. It was like,
Really,
you got to
no.
do this, right? And I remember you were saying you had a really bad accident shooting with Jackie Chan.
Yes. Yeah, well, I had a number of accidents, but yeah, that was probably the worst. And it's, of course, a well-known story where I'm wired up and they're kind of trying to make it look like we're being blown in this wind tunnel scene, right? It was the climactic scene of Operation Condor. So we're on these wires and I'm being catapulted through the air. And the stuntman said, well, we don't know how hard you're going to hit these wooden slats. And that set, which was actually at Shaw Brothers, the set alone cost, I heard, over $1 million, just that last fight scene set. And so the stuntman said, well, when you hit the slat, all you got to do is tuck your chin down so that you don't smack your head back. So that's the only thing I needed to remember. So they put me up on the harness. Jackie was on a scaffold, and he had like 4 Panavision cameras all set up to get this shot. And anybody who knows about filmmaking, how expensive these Panavision, 35mm Panavision cameras are, like $250,000 a piece. So he's standing behind one. All of them are running. They pull this cord and it snaps, right? So they have to get a wire, a stronger, like steel cable. Then they get 3 guys to pull this cable. So they're kind of just making it up, winging it. There's no mathematics to it here. And as I'm going through the air, I'm not moving fast enough. So then they get about 3 more guys. So now there's 6 guys pulling on this cord, right? You know where I'm at, right?
I
So
know.
finally, I'm flying through the air, and of course, I don't remember about the back of my head to tuck my chin down, right? And I hit the slat, and my head cracks back and cracks the slat open, and I'm kind of going in and out, and I'm dangling like a marionette, right, in the air. And they pull me towards where Jackie was standing on this kind of podium. And I'm kind of going in and out. And I put my hand on his shoulder and I just collapse, right? Still don't know about the back of my head at all. So I'm helped up and I'm still kind of going in and out. And he says to me, he says, "You okay? You okay?" He says, "All right, we're going to do it again in 15 minutes." All right. So I'm checking the back of my head, and of course, there's blood on the back of my head. So instead of going to the hospital, right, they put a piece of duct tape on the back of my head. And that's what happened. This is why I still have brain damage today. Yeah. So.
I know that's just how it is. I remember in Yes Madam, Dick Way kicked me in the head and split my internal ear open, and blood is coming out of my ear. Although I got to go to the doctors, but I was only there for 20 minutes, and he said, "He hit you so hard, it split open, but I can't get in there." And then I was right back on the set in another 20 minutes. So I continued shooting with the blood in my ear. And I always say, to shoot those Hong Kong movies, you have to be really, really, really tough, because if you would have said, start crying, I can't do it, I can't do the scene, you wouldn't be asked to do the film again, because they're just expecting you, like, you're invincible, you're a Superman, you're Superwoman, and you're like, yeah, I could do this, I could do it. It's crazy. It's a whole different world, world.
It really is. Yeah, it is nuts. And of course, that fight scene with you and I on Blonde Fury, I mean, well, the whole fight scene, but the famous, your scorpion kick and then into your scoop kick, kicking me in the groin. I mean, everybody knows that story by now, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, that is probably, well, I think any of the scenes that we did, they're so clever, the choreography from Hong Kong. But I mean, when you and I were fighting in that, it was so narrow, remember? And you was like, okay, well, we're gonna fight in here, right? And looking at each other like, oh my God. And the choreography, it's just, I still look at that and go, how did we do that, right?
Yeah, it really is amazing. It was. Yeah, because I'm 6'2", right, with these long ass legs. And, they wanted me to keep throwing these like crescent kicks and all this, spinning crescent kicks. And of course, my leg gets stuck on the side of the container, I'm kicking the side. And that was one. And it's obvious if you watch that clip where I'm supposed to kick. I'm kicking at you, but I missed and I hit the side corner of the container. So I put a shin guard on. And it still hurt. And they kept saying, no, not enough power. That they're always saying no power, power, right?
Yep.
It's the two words they always remember to tell you.
That's the English.
You gotta kick it. I said, well, I don't need to kick it any harder, right? And so I had to put like a piece of steel plate between my shin and this other, shin guard. And it still hurt. I mean, I was actually limping for a couple of days because he kept saying, kick hard. No, it's not enough power. It doesn't look strong. And I'm like, geez, crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, also, though, when I kicked you in the groin, remember that was like, more power, more power.
I know, right? How much power do you need? I mean, come on,
And so for those that don't know the toilet paper story.
Well, okay, the toilet paper story. So yes, as everyone knows who's familiar with Blonde Fury, Cynthia does the scorpion kick, hits me in the forehead. That should have been enough to knock me out. And then comes up with the scoop kick to the groin. So I put the supporter on, and it still smarted. So I'm thinking, okay, there's got to be something else, fabric, like, something.
Ouch, ouchie, ouch.
So they start unrolling toilet paper, not even a nice soft Charmin. It's that kind of cheap Hong Kong stuff, and they're unrolling it. So they give me a wad of toilet paper to stuff down my pants, and it still hurt. So eventually I just took the whole toilet roll and I squashed it together and stuffed it down my pants, you know.
And then all the girls are going, there he is,
There he is, that's the guy.
Well, hello there, big boy.
I know, right? Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, but that fight scene is amazing, though.
Oh, it is. It is. So you guys you check it out. We'll put a little clip on here that you could see. So what are you doing these days? What are you doing now? I know that's a lot because I know you do everything.
Well, as you know, you came to the last Carnegie concert, right?
Absolutely. You know, and I have to tell you, yeah, Vincent played at Carnegie Hall. And I was like floored. I'm like, oh my God, you play piano too, right? I mean, I knew he did, but I didn't know he was like that amazing. And that was awesome. You're like the headliner there.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that, because that's
Cynthia,
an awesome talent as well, you know.
Cynthia and her guest, I got them, you know, front row seats along with my father. Unfortunately, that was my fourth. Well, it's not unfortunately, but unfortunately, that was my fourth concert at Carnegie, and my mother had passed away 10 days prior to that. Yeah. So my father and my son was there. And of course you were there, and you know the place was full. And I was actually supposed to open the season this year in October, but unlike everything has been canceled this year. So they let me know and put me on the roster, you know, God willing, for next season, October 2021. So let's see. Everything we're playing by ear, as you know, because I had about 6 trips this year, as you probably maybe had more, and all of them have been canceled. So it's really, really frustrating. But you know, but we're healthy and we're safe and good. Yeah. But as you know, for the past 6 years, I've been doing this humanitarian work in some of the most dangerous places on the globe, and I even invited you to a couple of them. And well, I invited you to Syria, and you said, I think I'm going to go to Syria.
Yeah,
but you go to Jordan
I'd rather go to
Israel, and you were apprehensive about going to Jordan and Israel, and I said, come on, no way, it'll be fine. We'll, you know, I did bring the Kevlar, just think, oh, you got a cat and a dog behind you.
Oh, right. They're all out. But yeah, so, you know, other than, you know, being best friends, we're also travel buddies. We've done a couple trips together, and we went to Israel and Jordan.
That's
and
right.
I was a little nervous at first, you know, how safe it's going to be. And Vincent's like, well, don't worry, I packed the Kevlar. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, he had a vest, he had a hat on, and he's like, and I'm going, seriously, do you think we need that? Right? So we're you know, we had an amazing time. It was like crazy awesome fun. But anyway, just for my friend Raymond saw you in your underwear.
Oh.
And he said, will he be doing the interview like that? And I said, he does all his interviews like that.
Yeah. I'm really.
Because I would see Vincent.
I'm wearing right now is a shirt, and I won't stand up.
Oh, I'm going to rat on Vincent, but.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
every night at midnight, Vincent would have a list of girls that he would talk to.
Put this for you. You see what it is? It's a Biore nose strip. Now there is a funny story behind this. When we got to southern Jordan, we were staying at this beautiful 5-star resort, right? I mean, it really was quite amazing, right on the Dead Sea. And we've actually seen each other in a rather precarious, how would I say it? I don't even know what word to use or what phrase or what sentence. But we were staying and we were rooming together at this place.
Yeah.
So, I come out of the boat after out of the bathroom with the white nose strip on. And what else was I wearing? I hope I was wearing something else. I think I was wearing my drawers or something, boxer shorts, something. I don't remember exactly, but I do not. if nothing else, I was wearing this, so I was protected. So I'm sitting down at the computer with the nose strip on, and I look over, and the queen of martial arts stepped out in her hair rollers in preparation for the next. I'm like, whoa, whoa, what is that? I'm like, what are those? It looked like it was like from outer space, you know.
Yeah, so that's our little nose strip hair rollers. But as I was saying, so Vincent had a few women he was chatting with that night.
Oh dear.
And he put his hat on, he'd have a nice shirt on, and he would have his underwear on. And he'd be chatting away. So I was like, yes, he does do that, and I know that for a fact.
Oh, okay. She's talking about I'm chatting to people on Skype, not like down in the lobby of the hotel in my underwear and a nice shirt. Oh, I know. I was wearing a cap. I think it was a cap and a nose strip.
Yeah. No, you took the nose strip off when you were on the computer.
Yeah, well, that I did do.
But
yeah.
you go to bed with one on and wake up with
No, that I don't. You're only supposed to put them on for like 15 minutes. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So here we are. We're like, we're at the end of our trip in Israel and Jordan.
Oh
and
God.
You decide to go to, where is it? To the refugee camps.
I decided it was every day was a decision of what we had these choices. And of course, the one thing about Cynthia, I must, and I have the utmost respect because Cynthia puts herself, she's out there, man, on the edge, you know, adventure junkie. And I am, but in a different way. So I wanted to go to visit one of the refugee camps in Jordan. And it was in Azraq, about a good 2.5 to 3 hour drive from where we were. And I'm so glad that Cynthia didn't go. I'm so glad.
God, you did. Me too.
I'm so glad you didn't go with me. You would have been terrified.
I went to see where Jesus was.
You would have gone through about 3 pairs of underwear. I mean, it would have been awful. But you did decide you wanted to get rebaptized.
Yes.
And put the whole white frock, and Cynthia got rebaptized in the Jordan River. Unbelievable. That was it.
But we are leaving that day, and tell the story about your little adventure that you wanted me to go on. That's why when he says, hey, I want you to go to Iraq or wherever Iran or all these places, and he's going, yeah, it'll be great. I keep remembering this story.
Yeah, this story. I spoke to Hazim, which was our guide. Remember Hazim?
Oh, yeah, he baptized me.
Yes, exactly. And I spoke to, Seldom, our lieutenant there, who was our 24/7 guide, this lieutenant in the Jordanian army. And, they said, well, you really want to do this? I said, well, I'd just like to see the camp. He says, well, you need to get permission from the Jordanian government, and we can't get it this quick. I said, well, at least if I could just go and see it, that's all.
Right
just
now,
want to do
pay attention. You're not supposed to be there.
I'm not really supposed to be there. Yeah.
Near there.
So I said, can you get me a driver? So he said, I'll get you a driver. So this young Palestinian is like 26 years old. We get in the car. We drive out of the city. We get on the highway, and it was surreal because on both sides of the highway, all I saw for miles and miles were burned out tires. And I looked at the driver and I said to him, I said, do we have good spare tires? Because it seems everybody's like, there's tires everywhere. And then I'm seeing signs for Saudi Arabia, and I'm seeing signs for Syria, and I'm seeing signs for Iraq. So, all these countries are very, very close, bordering Jordan. So we get closer to the camp, and we get pulled over. And obviously it was by Jordanian army. They wanted to check ID, passport. So no big deal. I take some photos of these signs, and as we can see Azraq, which is home to like some 100,000 refugees from both the Syrian war and Iraq war. And we pull on the other side of the highway, and we get to the checkpoint. I called Hazim and I said, oh, we're finally there. There were 3 soldiers. One was sitting in a Humvee with an M60, and they both came over and they say, "Can I see your passport? Can I see your ID? Da da da." And then, you know, "Why are you here?" I said, "Oh, I just, you know, wanted to take a look at the camp and so forth." He said, "Okay, but you know, we can't allow you to go in." I said, "I know that." And I said, "But you know, can I use a bathroom?" So he pointed over to this kind of hut. So I went in the bathroom and oh boy, it was like, whoa. So I did my thing and I turned around and there was this kind of small window and I'm looking out at the camp and you can see there's a barbed wire electrified fence and you see all the white tents. So I took my phone out and I just shot 2 photos. Well, the soldier had seen me do that. So when I came out, all hell broke loose. And he said, "You took photos." I said, "Yeah, I took 2 photos." He said, "Yeah, not allowed, not allowed." So immediately he gets on the phone. I get back in the car and we're sitting there. He says, "Stay there." And they call for the military police. So we're sitting and this baking sun, and it was over 100 degrees, and we're sitting in the car, and the driver starts chain smoking. You can see the sweat, and he's freaking out. And one of the soldiers, who was a corporal, he kept coming over and intimidating me. Right? He's saying, "You might leave in a week. You might, maybe a week or 2." So, and he keeps every like 20 minutes, he keeps coming over. And then after about an hour and a half, I look through the side mirror and I see the guy who's on the M60 gun turret turn. And now the damn M60 is facing the car like he's aimed at the car. And I'm like, oh shit. It was at that moment I started to get a little worried. So an hour later, another convoy appears from the other side that's coming from actually the entrance of the camp. And out steps this very regal looking man. I mean, really handsome with a red beret and all the, you know, stripes and the medals. And he comes out. And of course, you see all these soldiers like step aside, you know. And he comes up to me and says, "You have a gun?" I said, "No, I don't have any weapon, no firearm, nothing." He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I don't have anything." He says, "Okay, show me your passport, so forth." He says, "Have you been to Iraq?" Now, at that time, I hadn't been to Iraq. I have been since.
Good thing.
And so he said, "Have you been to Afghanistan?" I said, "No, I have not." He said, "Are you sure?" So he checks the ID, checks the passport. He says, "You know, you're not allowed to take photos." I said, obviously I realize that now, but I don't see any sign that says do not take photos. And he said, "That's correct. You're right about that. We need to put up a sign." He says, "Okay, get back in your car and follow us." So now the driver is really like sweating and he's like chain smoking this whole pack of cigarettes. So we drove for maybe 300 meters. So we're following this convoy and then there's another Humvee behind us. So we now get to the front of the camp. There's the gates and all the flags of the coalition. The US flag, of course, is at the top, and German, Japanese, UK, and so forth. And you see all the security and everything. And then, of course, I could see the camp clearly and people walking in and out. And a plainclothes guy now comes to the car. This is now the Jordanian Secret Service. Now I have to go through a whole nother bout of questioning. He goes back. He comes back and he says, "Please delete the 2 photos. Show me that you delete them." So I deleted the photos. And he said, "I'm sorry about this, but we have to follow protocol." I said, no, I apologize. I wish I had known I wouldn't have taken those photos. So I said, "Oh, well, by the way," this is me pushing the envelope always. I said, "Do you mind if I take a photo in front of the US flag?" He says, "No." I said, "But why not?" I said, it's the biggest flag, and I'm a US citizen as well as a UK citizen." He said, "You still can't do it." I said, "Really?" He said, no, no photos here at all. I said, okay, sorry. So I get back in the car, and the driver, he's like, he's just turning white at this point. So we're leaving the camp, and of course I have to ribbon. I said, "Can you pull over so I can take a photo?" You know. So 3 hours, we drive back to the hotel. You, of course, have been calling me and
Oh
finding
my
where the
God, I
hell
know.
Vincent,
It's like
right?
you got back about 11 at night, and we were supposed
Yes.
to leave for the airport at 1 a.m. and I can't get a hold of you. I'm like, I know you went to this place you weren't supposed to go. And
Yeah.
remember, you had all your
Yeah,
Kevlar
I
on.
had all the
I
Kevlar
thought
on and what have you.
what do you
Sure.
have that on for?
And when
Remember?
and when I remember when I got back, because I was wearing these Burberry glasses, right? And the driver noticed, and he knew exactly. He says, "Whoa, those are beautiful glasses." Um, he said, "Expensive." So when I got back to the hotel, I got out of the car and I said, "I want to thank you." And I paid him. I think it was like $200 for that kind of half day thing. So I said, "Look, wait a minute. Just wait here. Don't go anywhere. I have a gift for you." So I ran back up in the room and I got the actual case, Burberry case for the glasses. And I said, "Look, I want you to have this. After what I've put you through today,"
Oh my
I
God. And
said,
did you
"You
say like
deserve these glasses." He says, "No, no, no, I can't." I said, "No, these glasses are for you." So,
did you say like after you got away, he stopped the car and started praying? He got out the
yes,
car.
he got out. And of course, he's Muslim. He needed to do his prayers. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
and that's what
he did
Vincent
extra
wanted me
prayers.
to do. Yeah, that Vincent wanted me to go on that one. I was like,
Yeah, no,
I'd
I'm
like
glad you did.
adventure, but not that kind.
Yeah, no, that's all right. But you got rebaptized, so you must have been praying for me or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that was another story, that baptism, but
Really, I know.
yeah,
Okay.
gosh, oh gosh. But also now, Vincent, you teach seminars too. You teach seminars around the world.
Yeah.
So when we get back to work again and we start teaching, people can come and check out your seminar, and I'm sure we'll have some together. Uh,
Yes, I hope so.
and
I mean, we got to figure out where our next trip is.
yeah, yeah, and I think Vincent got me in trouble one other time before.
Oh dear, I
We're
did.
in Cabo Verde, which is Africa,
Yes, couple of
and
air.
uh, I had a dress on, and we stopped somewhere, and he jumps off this big rock, this huge rock, and jumps into this water.
Yes,
And he
yes.
goes, "Come in," and I'm like, "No," and I'm looking at it, going, "I don't know if that water is clean. I don't want to go in." And then he has to say, "I dare you."
Yes, I know.
You
I
don't
said,
say
I
that to
told
me.
you, I said, we may never come back here again. When there's a couple of, I mean, how many Americans go to Cabo Verde, right? Most people don't even know where that is. So yeah, I dared you to jump in this.
So I jump in with my dress on, and we're swimming around.
That's
And then I come home, and I had a nasty parasite that I didn't get rid of for 6 months. And I'm thinking that was it from there.
it, really, that water was very clean,
I
though. My
don't know.
God.
Where else was it? The only other water I was in was where did we do the salt mine thing?
I don't think it was that water. That was the sea, and that was as crystal clear. I believe you got the parasite in the
Didn't we go to
those.
the
We
salt
went
mine?
to the salt mines. Is that right? Yeah, and that's probably where you got it.
And
Yeah.
I asked, and I said, "Hey," I said, "can you get a parasite?" And they said, "No, it's
That's,
so
that's
salty, they won't
probably where
live
you
here,
got it.
right?" And I
Yeah.
come back and tell my doctor, I'm trying to figure out, because for 6 months I was like not feeling well. And she said, "Yeah, well, what if it's a salt-loving parasite?" It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was probably. I don't believe it was the sea. No, no.
I don't know what it was. That was kind of stagnant, salty water.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Unlike the Jordan River,
and
which is.
of course we all had to go in there, and yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, do all that.
we did. I know. But that
But
was an amazing trip. Actually, the last was it last year? Uh, Don Wilson went with me. Yeah.
I know. I was so bummed I couldn't make it. I had another
Yeah.
commitment, I think, and I couldn't go. It's like, but hopefully we could do it again next year. We'll
I hope
see.
so.
We'll see
Yeah,
what's
it's a
going on.
beautiful place. Yeah.
And Vincent, let's talk about like your nonprofit, your
Mhm.
organization, because that's like really amazing and awesome what you're doing there.
I got involved in humanitarian work. It started 6 years ago, and I actually started my own foundation called We Can Save Children. Um, it actually it began for me in West Africa in Ghana, and I was doing some executive protection work for some very wealthy VIPs from Sweden who had been building infrastructure throughout Ghana, meaning clean water, schools, orphanages, uh, so forth. So it happened to be that one day we were visiting an orphanage or a shelter where children had just been rescued from child slavery from Lake Volta. And here I am playing this kind of role of protecting these clients. And I witnessed looking at these children. There were like 15 children sitting on the step of the school, ages between like 5 and 15. And mostly were boys. And it was just the look in their eyes. It was this, they had like, I always say it's like shark's eyes. Just, there was no soul, there was no emotion. It just had this kind of 1,000-yard stare. And I started getting really choked up, and I kind of had to look away and kind of, bring myself back into the role I was playing or doing. And so, but it was interesting. We stayed there about 20 minutes, and the head of the organization, James Kofi Annan, who was a former child slave himself, and if you remember, I brought him over and he spoke at my Carnegie concert in 2015. It was a very emotional moment. But he said, we can't stay long. We have to leave because the children, because they've been in captivity for so many years, they now think we are white slavers coming to buy them.
Oh.
So we had to leave. But from that moment, and it's never left me, that the look they had, and I wanted to get involved more. At the time, I didn't know how, but it took some years, meeting people in that kind of, I want to call it industry, but, people who do humanitarian work. And I got really involved. And as is my kind of nature and personality, I can't do it from afar. I have to put myself on the ground, in real time. And that's what I did. I spent time in Ghana. I flew to Uganda to help a number of orphanages there. Of course, I've put myself in really some really dangerous places, and I'm, fortunate to be still breathing and chatting with you, because there's been a few moments where I didn't think I was going to make it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this guy is the real life James Bond. That's what I say. I say you're like James Bond.
James Bond doesn't wear a nose strip, at least not in public.
You didn't spend the day with him.
Crazy.
Well, anyway, Vincent, where can people get in touch with you? And I know do you have you have DVDs? You have from piano or training or?
Yes. It's interesting. I try to get a smaller carbon footprint, if I might use that term, and I shut my personal website down. I didn't want it anymore. I had a number of pages on Facebook, and I shut those down as well. I even had an Instagram, and I shut that down as well. And I just really wanted to have everything focus on my foundation, because that's really what drives me and what's important. And so
people can donate to that, right?
Yes, exactly. So obviously my personal or public page on Facebook, and there's a We Can Save Children page on Facebook. And of course, one can go directly to the website, wecansavechildren.org, because it's a nonprofit, and donate through that. And I did put up Instagram page again, but it's just for We Can Save Children. Yeah. Because that's what really drives me now, and it's interesting, as you mentioned, all these things and I've been extremely blessed and extremely fortunate, as have you, that we've been able to do the things that we really love and are passionate about, and been able to do it our whole life and continue to do it. So, you know, all these things that I have done in the past, what I'm doing now really touches me passionately more than anything else. But, you know, as still, I'm practicing, and I had my lesson today with my piano coach, who's from the West Coast. So we always do it via Zoom now. So yeah, I'm practicing a lot and composing. And in the beginning, when they canceled the concerts in Broadway, Lincoln Center, and everything, yeah, of course, I was kind of crushed, you know, as I'm sure you were in the beginning. But we learn to adapt, you know, we're creatures of habit and we adapt. And so, but it didn't put me off. It only kind of drove me to even practice more for next year.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I know, like in the midst of COVID, I started playing the piano.
Oh, that's right. I know. And
I had this app, Simply Piano, and every time I would play it would say I wasn't playing it right, and it was driving me crazy, and it wouldn't let me progress, and I'd be so mad, you know. I'd be screaming at the piano and everything. So I called Vincent. I said, Vincent, listen to this. Does this sound right to you? And he's like, well, I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but can you shift your piano? I was like moving the piano, and it worked. It worked for a bit, but yeah, it's much harder, you know, than it seems like play the piano. So for me, it was anyway.
I know people are going to be saying, "What? Shift it?" The thing is, this is not a keyboard Cynthia is talking about. It's an actual upright acoustic piano, and sometimes, when it's sitting, and because of humidity and what have you, and there could be too much heat, but you're in LA, so there's a lot of heat and you have a lot of air conditioning going on. So if you don't have a humidifier of the piano, what happens when it's sitting there and it's not obviously being played much, it's going to go out of tune very easily. And so sometimes if you just kind of move and shift the piano a little, the ringing you hear, it kind of snuffs that out. Not saying it does all the time. Obviously, it needs tuning, but yeah, it cuts all that ringing out, and that was the issue.
The last question.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite co-star to work with in movies?
Male or female?
No gender.
No gender? Mwah, 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 mwah. Come on, femme fatale, queen of action cinema. Are you kidding me? Who else?
And actually, we do have a project slated to go sometime together.
That's true.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Yes. Yeah. We did mention this. There's so many things. I remind you of stuff you forget. You remind me of stuff I forget.
Well, anyway, we have one upcoming.
Okay. Beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being a guest, and I'm sure everybody will love to hear your stories, and hope to see you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Hi, this is Cynthia Rothrock. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. And if you like the videos, please put a like on it and refer it to your friends.